Hello and welcome back to Redirecting. Now the story I'm going to be covering is about a police officer that is being charged with the murder of a Mississippi woman by the name of Dominique Lachelle Clayton. She's 32 years old. And this officer is named Matthew Paul Kine. He is the one who is being accused of killing this woman, shooting her in the back of the head during a domestic situation. And the sad part about all of this is that her 8-year-old son found her. He found his mother's body. Now, family members are coming forward saying that there was a relationship between this white police officer and this black woman. Now, what I'm going to focus on in this video is one of those things that we talk about a lot on this channel. We talk about the prohibition, the biblical prohibition for us to be in these types of relationships with Gentiles. We are prohibited from doing so. Now, I'm always getting pushback from brothers when I cover stories where some black man has been taken for a bunch of money and all of this is happening, and someone married him and divorced him and all of this other crazy nonsense. Okay, always getting pushback from brothers. But I rarely see these brothers speak or say anything when I am talking about an issue of a black woman who is with a white male or any other Gentile male, because I talk about those things on this channel too. Now, the issue here is when we continue to disobey the biblical instructions that tell us this is not permitted. What happens when you disobey the commandments and the laws of the Most High Yah? He brings about judgment. And in this case, that is what I see. Now, a lot of our people, they may say that they don't know or didn't know or don't even believe that the Bible teaches against interracial marriage and dating. Many of our people say, well, I don't believe that. And that's not true. They'll say all these things, and you can show them all the proof in the book that you have. And what's sad is a lot of our people are Bible thumpers. They claim to be Bible living people. Many are Christians. Many are very religious. But when you start to point out obvious facts of things that we are prohibited to do, you get all this pushback. My thing is this: why even deal with the Bible? Why even read the Bible if when the truth is presented to you, you're going to reject it? Why not just go out here, live your life, be a sinner to the bone 24/7 and leave the Bible alone if you're not going to live by it? Because the scripture talks about these types of judgments. He talks about what will happen to us if we step outside of his will. And if this young woman was indeed in a relationship with this officer, what we've seen is something in his mind snapping, in which I'm pretty sure they're going to try to pull out, who knows what type of evidence they're going to try to pull out to say, well, he was in fear for his life, or she did this, or she did that, and he was so afraid. This big, giant, thick-necked man and this little petite woman, some kind of way, I wouldn't doubt it. Not saying that this is going to happen, but I wouldn't doubt it if somehow they frame up the situation to say this little petite woman was such a huge threat to this big, gun-toting, thick-necked man to where he had to defend himself. Because you do know that the Bible says that our possessors would slay us and find themselves not guilty. Now, many of you say, what do you mean possessors? We're nobody's possession. I'm free. See, those are people who don't know and don't understand what real freedom is like. So they think that what we are living right now is freedom. And when it says possessors, is referring to those who were our former slave masters. We are still under the same rulership of the same people. We're dealing with the descendants of the same people who raped, killed, murdered, maimed, all kinds of things to our people. We're dealing with their descendants now. But some of us won't make that separation in our minds. We think it's okay. Oh, you know what? Times are different now. We can marry them, sleep with them, have babies with them, and do all kinds of things. We just think that it's okay. Now, I say this often on my channel that I don't believe that every last white person or Gentile is bad towards us and this, that, and the other. But what I do believe is that this system that is in place, that those who enjoy this are not willing to stick their heads out, or stick their necks out, should I say, to try to bring a stop to what we are going through in this country. You have very few, a very small handful who will actually stand up and possibly even risk their lives to say, look, enough's enough. How you're treating these people is wrong. But for the most part, some may sympathize, but they will sit quietly back and say, there's nothing we can do. There's nothing I can do. And many of them don't think that there's anything that should be done. They think that we're living in a fair society. Anyone who thinks this society is fair is obviously reprobate. There is no reaching this type of person. The only thing that's going to reach them and finally get them to understand is divine intervention. And that intervention, unfortunately, is when they stand before their maker, before their creator, and he's going to say, depart from me. I never knew you. I'm talking about Gentile Bible thumpers who think that they're going to stand before the one that they call God in peace. You're going to stand before him, but it will not be in peace. And this record that you have is going to be flashed right before your eyes, and there will be no escape. And so I think it's very, very sad indeed that this has happened to this young woman. But again, when our people, whether it's men or women, think it's better to drift outside of your own and marry your own, we're starting to see an increase in black women doing just that, thinking that the grass is greener on the other side. Now, I've seen how giddy some black women can get when they are in the presence of a white male. I've seen it. Personally, I think that there's some type of sorcery or witchcraft going on, because knowing the history of this country and how things tend to go to the left real fast and easy in some of these types of relationships, why even risk it? But what I mean by the sorcery is this. I spoke about an experience that I had a long time ago when I was very young. I was at a furniture store, and the salesperson who sold me all the things that I was buying, he was helping me get something in the back of my vehicle, something that couldn't be delivered, something that I could actually, it could have been delivered, but something that I could actually take with me because the larger items were going to be delivered. And so this white guy, as he's helping me get something in the back seat of my vehicle, I'm leaning into the vehicle, and he leans in right beside me, and his hair just kind of brushed up against the side of my cheek. And it's almost like just for a split second, I smelled this fragrance and something came over me, and then I shook myself and I said, what was that? What was that? It's almost as if some type of potion had gone forth, because I was drawn to the smell and the touch of his hair on the side of my cheek. That's how close he was, you see. And so I absolutely believe that there is something going on. A lot of people won't own up to it. I see how a lot of their women will say to a man, to a black man, hey, hon, how can I help you, hon? Yes, hon. And some of our men can't take that. they hear Becky call him hun, and they melt like butter because they don't know what's happening to them. They don't understand what's happening to them. And so that's where we come in, the daughters of Zion, your mothers, your sisters, your aunts, your grandma, your cousins. We come to tell you that that is not a road you want to go down. Okay? And as for our sisters, I know we say that there's a shortage on black men and all of this, and that our relationships seem to be in decline. But I'm just going to tell you, sisters, this is not the way. I'm pretty sure that this woman, if she was indeed in relationship with this man, if she was, I'm pretty sure she was having a good time. But the joys of sin only last a season. Now, I'm saying that not to be insulting to the family, because I know that there are families left behind in situations where someone has lost their lives, whether it's one of our brothers or one of our sisters who have lost their lives because of situations like this. But the truth must be told, and you got to listen, family. This is not the way to go for us. What we've got to do is back ourselves out of this animosity that we have towards one another as black men and women. We've got to squash that. We've got to rebuke these spirits and demons that is actually stirring up this hatred that the black man and woman have for each other, this animosity. We've got to rebuke that and come against it. That hatred, that division is the enemy. We are not each other's enemy, but those spirits that are riding the black man and the woman and causing these contentions, that is the enemy. Because when we cross over, whether it's one of our sisters crossing over or one of our brothers crossing over to be with these people of other nations, there's always a lingering judgment behind that follows. And it doesn't always come right away. It doesn't always come right away, but eventually it does. And many times it comes in different forms. It's not always, the end result is not always what this sister is experiencing. But sometimes the end result could be a miserable, desperate, just horrible life. There was a story a sister shared with me about her cousin, a man who lived in Germany, and he ended up marrying a white German female. He was a rapper, and he was beginning to become well known over there. And while he was there in Germany with this white woman, had some children with her, she treated him like trash. Got to the point where he couldn't take it anymore. He ended up killing himself and her. Now, according to his cousin, who shared the story with me and said that it was okay for me to speak on this, she said that this woman was taking him through literal hell. And so we got to understand that the joys of sin only last a season. This sister who, if she was indeed in relationship with this man, like I said before, she was probably enjoying herself. She probably even thought herself to be in a good situation being with a white police officer. A lot of our people feel like, wow, that's an important position to be in, to be sleeping or bedding down with a police officer. No, that's dangerous. That's not a good position. Many of us feel honored and glad to even be looked at by these people, not knowing or understanding the judgment of Yah that is attached to that. It is what it is, family. Whether we want to believe it or not, the truth is what it is. And we are starting to see more and more the hand of the Most High Yah coming against his people for these types of disobedient actions, these lawless actions. Yes, I said lawless. Maybe not against the laws of this land, but against the laws of the Most High Yah. Sad situation indeed. Very sad. But this is why we've got to keep ourselves guarded, to keep ourselves out of these situations. Black women, And I've seen some of you come on my channel before when I talk about this interracial dating and marriage. You don't care about the biblical mandates or prohibitions. You don't care about it because some of you are not religious. But you got to understand, these curses, just because we don't believe, doesn't mean that they are going to be lifted or going to disappear. You're not believing or accepting of these things is not going to change the reality. It is what it is, family. Okay, that is enough for now on this story. The sister lost her life doing something that probably wasn't the best thing to do. But this is, I would say, a message or warning to those of you who are thinking about crossing over. Let it go. Stay on the right side of the law. And I'm talking about the law of the Most High Yah. With that, I will say, Shalom. Be sure to ring the bell to be notified of new uploads on this channel, and also comment, share, like, and subscribe.